We'll just call that first one rehearsal. Hi, this is Scott Ott with Stephen Green and Bill Whittle, and this is your backstage meeting of Right Angle, where we get together and kick around the topics for this week's episodes. And this is made possible by, of course, the members at BillWhittle.com who have gone to that website and clicked that little Become a Member link. And we invite you to do so if you're currently cheating and watching this. We are very loose with our, we don't have a wall, so to speak, but we'd like to have borders, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, this is that we are recording on a day. That's right. We're taking in borders, as a matter of fact, to make up some of the shortfall.
And in violation of the Third Amendment, I might add.
That's right. This is Air Bill and Steve. And the president is speaking tonight as we record this. By the time you see this, you may have already seen him. And this is one of those times when we wish we had a live TV network where we could go and immediately comment on what was happening. But gentlemen, this is a big week for the president because clearly he's got his one shot here, in a sense, to make an impression upon the American public that has not already been made by the Democrats and their cronies in the media. But that's not the topic I want to talk about this week, so either one of you is free to discuss that. So although I should take that because I think that I have one great topic idea and then just one topic concept here. The topic concept is some publishers who are now inserting into their contracts a morality clause. Imagine this. Imagine if you're at work, you're not a writer, you're just doing whatever you do at work, and you read your updated contract for the new year, and you find out that there's now a morality clause in it that basically said that if you do anything to create a scandal, that your boss can fire you without cause immediately. Well, that's what Condé Nast and some other publishers are doing to their writers. They're basically saying, not if you're convicted of something, not even if you're like legitimately accused or arrested or anything like that, but basically if you become a scandal, if you start a Twitter storm that reflects badly on the company, you're toast. I'd like to kick that around, gentlemen. And I think, I don't know, is this just, I mean, has this been something that it's probably been true forever, but now they're just instantiating it in ink?
That would be my understanding. Yeah. I mean, you can't just go out there, you know, as representatives of the former organization, whatever, and you can't just go out there and start advocating, you know, for the murder of progressives and expect them to continue to pay you. And there are professional standards that, you know, that have to be followed. Sure. Now, to the degree that it squashes progressive freedom of thought, I'm all in favor of that, obviously.
No, but it doesn't, Bill. What it does is, I'm afraid, I mean, you're right in principle on the first part, but I think what it really does is empower the outrage mob. It's like a pre-cave-in to the Twitter outrage mob, to the Facebook outrage mob.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And to use your Colin Kaepernick analogy, Bill, that you have used before, it's almost like they're saying, no matter where you are, you're always wearing the jersey. And so, you know, it's one thing to say inside the stadium.
That's different.
While you're suited up for the game.
They're saying, so they're not saying that you can't write an article for us under any circumstances. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They're saying they could. Well, it's still they could cancel your contract if, for some reason, you become scandalous. You say something. You know, let's take Kevin Hart's situation, the guy who was going to host the Oscars and got kicked out because of something from a decade ago that he tweeted that is allegedly homophobic. You know, that's the new reality, and that I don't see any reason why it couldn't go from Condé Nast to whoever employs you, my faithful viewer.
Well, fortunately, we're employed by you know, thousands of people who seem to like, you know, letting us speak the truth as we see it. So that's kind of a useful thing to have going for you. But again, you know, I mean, I'm always pretty big on this idea of it's your company and you have a right to run it any way you want to. And as long as it's spelled out, you know, you don't have to sign a contract with that clause in there. So I don't see a real big problem with it personally.
Well, some of the more powerful writers are basically saying, I'm not going to sign that contract. But obviously there are a lot of other people who are like, I need that $17. And so they're going to write, they want to write the article, you know?
But you're going to get the tamest, weakest, lamest writers. I think these companies are shooting themselves in the foot. It's absolutely their right to do it. But what kind of writer are you going to get to work for you under those terms? What kind of buzz is that kind of writer going to be able to generate?
Yeah, you would think that there's nothing so scandalous anymore that anybody could get fired. You know what?
That's the sad truth.
Like, what do you have to do to get canned
unless
these
you
days?
say that women have ovaries. Boom. Twitter outrage mob and you're gone.
Yeah, I saw that that T-shirt. Did you post that, Steve, with the woman wearing the T-shirt that said, you know, like, I am woman, female, something or other?
Yeah.
It's actually, I believe, a line from a country song that I've heard. And you know, that kicks up a storm. See, I guess the concern is, I mean, we thought that the fearful thing about the future was going to be that Big Brother would be watching us all the time. The government would be watching us all the time.
And now we're afraid that they're not watching us all the time. You know, we're worried that people are not watching our every move.
Yeah, we want to make sure that everybody can see us all the time. And now, like, the ones who are watching us, we're reporting on each other. We're watching each other, and the government's not even asking us to do it. We're doing it voluntarily, and we're you know, essentially blackballing people who don't fit our preconceived notion of what's appropriate to say, for example.
Oh, you know what I want to see, Bill? Who's the genius public artist guy out in Los Angeles? Sabo, thank you, Sabo. I'd love to see him do like some artsy unicorn left-wing hippie thing that says, "We are the Stasi."
It has actually, come to think of it, it's actually Sabo. It's from like a Sabbath round.
Mm.
Yeah, he was a tanker.
That's how you pronounced it when you interviewed him, anyway.
I think it probably said Sabo, but I think it's Sabo.
I thought you said Sabo. Really? I thought you said it right. Let me just say, Mr. Whittle.
From sabotage.
However you said it, it was right at the time, and in hindsight, it's still right.
There you go.
Okay, so that's one topic, and clearly we'll have to make that even more exclusive than just members only. We should let nobody watch that episode. The other one is, I think, big breaking news is Mayor Bill de Blasio of New York City has announced free health care for all in New York City. That they are going to begin rolling this out starting this summer, 2019, and eventually, I guess, get it all in place by 2021. It is, they said it's a $100 million project. Now, I don't know if that's $100 million a year or for 10 years or what period of time.
That's the down payment.
Yeah. Well, this is what they're saying, though. De Blasio is saying there are some 600,000 uninsured New Yorkers who will now absolutely be covered, get medical care. And it's not just they'll get insurance, they'll actually get medical care. And 300,000 of those are undocumented. And they already have a program that's supposed to provide medical care for undocumented people, meaning illegal aliens. And they said that even though it's going to cost $100 million, they won't have to raise taxes to pay for it, and it will actually save them money because of the burden that all of these folks are causing on, I assume, the city's hospitals.
Well,
he's going to save money by offering free health care to everybody?
Yes.
Is that the argument?
Well, not everybody gets it free, but everybody gets health care. So
I find that to be not that compelling, actually.
You pay, but somebody else gets it for free.
The taxpayers will pay.
Well, they said no tax
do. increase.
No tax increase.
Well, that means the money's coming out of somewhere else.
Savings from the medical care that won't be that apparently they won't then have to deliver in emergency rooms. So I guess
Obamacare was going to eliminate waste and fraud and pay for itself.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think what they're saying is, like, instead of going to the ER and having a $1,700 visit when you've got a sore throat, they'll take you to, you know, a clinic, or as Barack Obama would say, take the pill. They'll give you the pill, and you know it'll be a $30 visit instead of a $1,300 visit.
Ay, Mama, I don't know what to say about this, Scotty. It's you know.
Well, don't you want the cities and the states to try things like this?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think we've already tried things like this, and I think our track record at this point is pretty compelling.
Yeah.
You know, pretty compelling.
Well, and basically, De Blasio is saying health care for all or healthcare as a right should not just be a theory. It needs to be put into practice, or it's nothing.
Yeah, it's a crap theory. You don't have a right to anybody else's stuff.
Or as Bill often says, it works in practice, but will it work in theory?
But will it work in theory? Exactly, yeah.
Okay. So those are my topics, and I'll try to make them a lot better by the time we actually shoot the episodes.
Good. You've got minutes.
Yes, countless minutes. In the meantime, Stephen Green, wearing the University of Texas jersey today.
Yeah.
What would you like to talk about this week?
Wow. I want to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
RBG.
Whatever you think. Yeah, the notorious RBG. I want to talk about a couple of things. One is, her health is not good. She broke a couple of ribs a couple of months ago, and then in late December, mid-December, she was in to have more cancerous growths removed from one of her lungs. And there's a big difference between big C cancer and cancerous growths, just to get us on the right track here. My mother-in-law has had cancerous growths in her liver for probably about 20 years. But she's on this kind of esoteric medicine she has to get once a month, and even though it's inoperable, she's more or less okay. She's got some dietary restrictions, and that's about it. Other than these injections once a month. So again, there's a big difference between cancer, which will eventually metastasize and kill you, and cancerous growths, which are more benign.
Nevertheless, a serious surgery. I mean, this was a lobectomy. This was they're cutting a piece of the lung out.
Exactly. They're cutting a piece of her lung out. This is while she has broken ribs, recovering from broken ribs. She's 85 years old. That's a tough convalescence if you're in your 20s. And RBG is 85 now. And so I want to talk about her health and the future of the court, but also about, and this is not to impugn her in any way. I don't want to speak ill of an old woman undergoing serious health issues, but the cult around her. Did you see the latest from Roger Simon, the Politico Roger Simon, not the PJ Media Roger L. Simon?
I did not, but I see there's a notorious RBG posters all over town for a Ginsburg display at one of the museums at the Getty.
There's also a new movie.
Yes.
It's called On the Basis of Sex, I believe.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so this cult of RBG, I'm wondering if this is doing her more harm than good. I mean, it's gotten so creepy, and this creepy is a word for it, that Politico's Roger Simon put up on Twitter last night or this morning something about, if you could give 1 second of your life to RBG, and if 100,000 people did that, we could give her another 27 working years further. Dude, where do people come up with this
that might
stuff?
That might be the most definitive progressive statement I've ever heard.
Do they have like a GoFundMe campaign where you can actually donate a minute of your life?
Actually give a minute of your life, or a minute a day, whatever it was that he said. Yeah, I don't care what the math is. It's creepy.
That is the definitive liberal statement. It's like saying if there was unlimited money, we could give everybody free health care. It's like, that's true.
Very good.
There is no unlimited money, but if such an impossible thing existed, then yes, you'd be right. But since it doesn't, you're not. And what's the matter with you,
Steve? I've lost count. How many more miracles does she need to perform before the Pope will beatify her?
She doesn't get beatified by the Pope. She gets beatified by Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. And I don't think they've bestowed an honor upon a Jew like that since, Jesus?
Yeah, you have to go back quite a long way.
And he just barely got through the council. I mean,
it was tough going
through the murder boards, as they call them in college.
That's your daily sacrilege. I'm sorry.
RBG. This is a tough topic to deal with, because this gets down to, I think, what we've said before, where we can have personal problems with somebody's politics, but when it comes right down to their health and their well-being and their families and just their happiness, we want nothing but the best for
Absolutely.
people, and ultimately, I've said before, when we win, meaning when conservative ideas flourish and are actually put into practice, then everybody benefits without regard to political ideology or religion or anything else. It's a better world. if those things happen. And so
I care so much about her health that I fervently wish that she would just go easy on herself and retire and live another 30 or 40 years with her grandchildren and simply have a wonderful, wonderful time someplace else. But that's the limits of our hostility, you know. It's like, I can't tell you I'd be sorry to see her leave the court, but I don't ever wish anybody dead or ill or harm. Or you should get cancer because you disagree with me, you know.
At the very least, it's going to hurt sales of her new exercise video. You know, because she's actually she's like a big exercise person. She works out like crazy. Yeah,
she is. Well, that's one of the
she's
reasons
a machine.
She's
you gotta
still
give
sharp.
it to her.
Yeah, and frankly, you know, that just is one of the many reasons why I don't exercise, because look what happened to her. I mean, I don't want to have to look forward to that in the next 30 years.
Charles
from now.
Atlas as well.
That's right.
And Jackie Robinson
and
Jack
LaLanne.
Jack
LaLanne,
also dead.
All of these guys who promoted big exercise have gone. Yeah. So I don't see the point.
Yeah,
well, actually, I think Jack LaLanne was 132 when he passed on, and he was bench pressing. He hadn't been
exercising so much. He probably would have lived. He'd probably be around now.
That's right.
After Dr. Atkins died, I literally did this. I went on Cafe Press and I made a bumper sticker way too soon that said, "Atkins is dead. Eat some bread." I didn't sell any of those, and then I rethought that idea, and the next day took it off of Cafe Press. Oh, fine human being I am. Yeah. Okay, so that sounds like a good topic. Bill Whittle, you got your Hillsdale College shirt on, so we're expecting a little more.
I have two of them.
A little better quality from you today than we might otherwise be accustomed to expect.
From you guys or from me?
From you.
From you.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in that case, we're in real trouble.
Yeah, I'm slacking off today. You gotta really step it up.
I actually, just by chance, I was taking an Uber yesterday at a rental car, and I was just taking a ride home, and the guy who was driving the car had on I don't know. It doesn't sound like a news program. It sounded almost like it was a seminar. It was certainly a seminar, and it was a young driver. And it was a seminar about social media and spreading the message and growing your channels and pricing and advertising and all this other. So it was a real kind of, nuts and bolts kind of analysis of social media and how to make money on social media and so on. And this guy was obviously a guru. And then as I just kind of half listening to this, and he says, a young guy obviously says, now, everybody's saying that attention spans are getting shorter and everybody's trying to drive videos shorter and shorter and shorter. But I'm telling you, I've seen it with my own eyes. If you have a really compelling video, that thing can go to like 4 minutes and people will watch it. And dead serious, it's exactly what he said. And that got me thinking.
Stretch that.
It got me thinking, it was from a science fiction book written for the movie Aliens, and there was a line in there where they were talking about new weapons, and somebody wrote, I'm sure there's some flinty old Israelite, sergeant saying, yeah, you and your bugles and horns, when we went after Jericho, we used to use ladders for you and your newfangled technology. But it occurs to me, it really does occur to me that since there's very little reading going on, and since the attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, the question I actually asked myself was, can you learn to be an engineer with a 4-minute attention span? I'm serious.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not joking. I'm serious. Or a doctor. Is it possible through watching a number of videos to get that kind of skill level? Because I suspect not. And attention span is
I think there's a book here that.
Wait a minute, where'd that hairbrush come from?
Timothy Ferriss wrote The 4-Hour Work Week. I think certainly the 4-minute college education, it can't be far behind.
But my first thought, to be honest with you, really was, I've obviously been very hard on millennials for things like this, but my first thought was, I wanted to just say to this guy, doesn't that scare you? I mean, really, seriously, doesn't that really scare you? That 4 minutes is the limit of the amount of tension that you can give to something.
I don't think that's true, though. I think it's, what's going on it's not that you can only concentrate on something for 4 minutes. It's that the whole time while you're watching something for 4 minutes, you're thinking there might be something else out there that would be even more compelling that you might want to watch for a longer period.
And which is the advantage of a book, right? Because there's not going to be a better book on the 40 pages ahead. Right, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same book. You don't get to skip forward like 34 pages in the middle of War and Peace and suddenly find yourself reading, penthouse letters to the editor. It's just not going to happen.
You can't skip to the last page and know how to do brain surgery.
And in fairness, we did kind of, we really worked the knob on the old Zenith when I was a kid to the point where that plastic knob on that very fine wooden
had to use a pair of pliers, man, vice grips.
Yeah, we had the vice grips attached to it as the channel changer. In fact, somebody, this is don't take this idea from me. I know people out there, Fritz, I'm looking at you, and Todd, I know they're going to take this idea from me. They should make a remote control that looks like a vice grips. Like it's actually shaped like the vice grips.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, yes.
But what would you clamp it to? There's nothing on the front of the TV.
It's just going to be like it's a facsimile. It's not like
identical. And how are kids possibly going to survive in a world where they don't know how to set the vertical hold or enhance the color and play with the tint? I mean,
there's not even a side of the TV to slap anymore.
I suppose you could use the vice grips to change the channels on the remote control. You could
you could do that. But I'm actually serious about this. It's like, I mean, I'm not. It wasn't me saying these kids today with their 4-minute attention span. This is a guy who's a real expert in what young people are doing for business and social media and so on and so forth. And I really started to wonder if you can. Is it possible to learn anything really on a deep level with? I'm not saying that you have to learn everything in 4 minutes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, is it possible to learn something deep in 4-minute intervals? And that's the top end.
Wow. Well, and at the same time, we've got this other phenomenon of young people tuning in to podcasts by people like Jordan B. Peterson and Dave Rubin and Sam Harris and Mark Maron and a lot of others, and they're listening to them just yammer on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours sometime. That I think really it comes down to, is the person doing the presentation compelling enough to hold your attention that you want to see what's going to happen next? And you kind of, for a moment there, you forget that there's the rest of the world and that you've got the entire buffet laid out before you. And you just say, you know what? I'm going to eat the vanilla pudding because, man, this vanilla pudding is good. I forgot to mention I was at a Chinese buffet, so it was the vanilla pudding.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, a movie, a well-written movie, even a well-written action movie, has to have slow periods in order for you to breathe so that the action becomes worthwhile. And I think maybe that's why they're so hooked on video games, because there is no slow period. There is no time to take a breath and so when you're reading, it's a different experience than when you're watching, because when you're reading, you get to something that you thought was interesting, and you can stop for a second. And go, how about that? And you're not compelled to look for, what else better is on.
Maybe I'm perfect for this generation, because I will tell you, I am now, almost at the end of this book. Okay, but
you've been reading that one. I
have been reading this forever, and I read like 3 pages, and then I put it down and go read something else.
But the fact that you can get through a book like that means that when you're finished, you will actually know something about. You won't just know that there was a guy named Ulysses S. Grant, which is more than most people know today. You will actually know about him and how his background formed his decision making and what kind of person Lincoln needed to deal with the war against us. And so you'd be educated. And I'm very worried about it.
Well, so far so good. I mean, as you have pointed out, if you look at the boys at Blue Origin or SpaceX. Or Tesla or innumerable other companies, they're doing fantastic, miraculous, wonderful, mind-blowing things. And somehow, I don't think they got that ability by not being able to focus for more than 4 minutes at a time.
Yeah. Precisely right. I'm not accusing the generation. I'm just saying that the society and the norms that they were born into seem to be, if not completely destructive to future, forget even future invention, just future maintenance. I mean, if you never see anything longer than 4 minutes, and you grow up, how are you going to repair the cell phone system, let alone design a new one?
Ace at Ace of Spades years ago called it the Dirk Diggler effect. He was talking about the Arab countries building all these huge skyscrapers, right? 8,000 stories, mile and a half tall, whatever. And he pointed to Dirk Diggler. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Boogie Nights, but
yep.
Dirk becomes the big porn star, and he buys the fancy Corvette, but by the last act of the movie, the Corvette is practically in pieces, and he's got to push start it, to get it going. And it's because he's a guy who is not emotionally or intellectually equipped to have money. And so what's going to happen in these countries when the oil money runs out? The skyscrapers are going to fall down. It's the Dirk Diggler effect.
It's interesting because I see these incredible buildings in it's not it's not Abu Dhabi,
Dubai.
What's it? Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And you see these amazing buildings and just astonishing architecture, and I keep thinking, yeah, but who wants to live in Dubai? I mean, honestly, seriously.
My wife's boss is out in Dubai all the time. I mean, it's probably a total of months out of the year, 2-3 months out of the year he's in Dubai. And, it's Lockheed Martin. They put him up in the best places and everything, and he can't stand it.
That's what I'm thinking.
It's like living in your entire life in a shopping mall or in the Truman Show Dome,
Yes, and that's right. That's exactly right. In fact, they have like the world's largest indoor skiing facility there at Dubai, and it's like, that's great if you live in the desert, I guess, and you can't live anywhere else. But if you've ever been on an actual mountain, I'm pretty sure this doesn't compare. And
I have once or twice.
It's like forget the amenities. It's like, who wants to live in Dubai? But I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a big success.
I do want to have a house on that little that fanned out island thing that they created. Did you see that? It's like
like palm
this
tree,
island that
and
looks like this, and there's
a palm tree.
And they made it like this so that they could everybody would have a waterfront property.
Yep, it's genius.
There's some talk. Everybody's talking about a time for a convention of the states and maybe time to modify the Constitution. And if I was to be one of those delegates, I would have a constitutional amendment that said that the United States of America has to have the tallest building in the world, and if somebody else has a taller building than we do, we have to have a taller building within 2 years. And I'd make that a constitutional amendment.
Right there in the Constitution. And if somebody gets to a planet or a moon before us, we immediately have to engage.
Within 5 years, we have to go
further. Yeah,
that's right.
We have to nuke that planet or moon, and then
No, we're not a bunch of aggressive imperialists.
No, but you get to Mars.
We're just people that are proud to do things better than other people.
You get to Mars, we're going to land a man on Jupiter, and I don't care if it's a gas giant. We're going to land a man there anyway.
Yeah, see, we're not the kind of people that want to go claim the moon as our own territory. We're the kind of people who want to go build a resort hotel on the moon and invite everybody else to come. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Party moon,
or
baby.
In our worst moments, we're the kind of people that want to go to the moon and treat it as if it's our own territory and say, anybody want to come up and stop us?
That's
you're welcome to try.
Sure.
And then Steve will be calling me and you and going, hey guys, my wife and I can't get off for 2 weeks this year. Do you want to use our timeshare on the moon? Would you?
Yeah. We've got a great spot just on the edge of Tycho crater.
Again, the moon.
Yeah, after the third or fourth visit to the moon for your vacation, that you've seen it. What else?
Even New Jersey starts to look good after
mistress.
that.
Even New Jersey. Oh my! This is the Garden State, my friend. The Garden State.
The Garden State.
Don't believe what anybody tells you who's been there or lived there. Ladies and gentlemen, you have just been an unfortunate victim. I'm witness of the participant in this week's backstage meeting of Right Angle, and the members at BillWhittle.com are the heart and soul of this enterprise, and we really appreciate how you contribute to it. I've been seeing a lot of the emails that you're sending through the website because we now have a contact form. You're suggesting ideas to us for shows. There are some people who want to know exactly how do we sign up, how do we re-up, and stuff like that. So keep those cards and letters coming, as they used to say, and we'll be glad to help you with that process. We look forward to recording this week's episodes of Right Angle probably a little bit more than even you look forward to seeing them.
What Scott's trying to say is that we're at any moment now we're going to sack the cryptographers that make it impossible for you to give us money. We're gonna do away with this entire strategy, which I think has been not.
Well, we've got it to the point where
it's
it's really easy for you to give us money, and if you're already giving us money.
Are we?
Yes, yeah. You can, if you go to the website,
give us more.
Yeah, and you go and you click that become a member link. It's a relatively easy sign up process there. There are still some little tricky parts where if you're already a member, you're on a legacy system in essence. You're on a system that pre-existed the current system that we use, and so we are glad to walk side by side with you and move you through that process, or even do it for you, so that we can cancel the old one and re-up the new one. And it
for a couple months, the only people that could log onto the website were people who had like a direct neural connection, to the back of the head.
They were jacked into the Matrix.
Tap. Well, somebody is now. The Golden Globes the other night. They have that music that plays you out. Somebody else in my house is now doing that play you out music, and so it's probably a good time. I don't know who's playing music, but somewhere in the building now, I can hear it. So we're going to move ahead and record this week's episodes of Right Angle. We appreciate your contribution that makes it possible. So for Bill Whittle and Stephen Green, I'm Scott Ott. Thank you very much.